Okay, so we have our main sequence with our A roll coverage, and we've cut it together using this really cool multicam sequence. Now, you don't need to do the multicam. You could have done it the old fashioned way, like we've done previously, but this is the way we did it for this edit. Now, what I also did was I went and I pulled together the B roll shots. I pulled the selects on the cutaway shots. And if you're like, hey, what the heck? I didn't see that process. I want to know how you did that. Go back to the previous lectures and the previous chapters towards the beginning to see how to pull the selects, just in case you've forgotten or maybe you missed it. We've covered that extensively. So I went ahead, pulled these selects for the B-roll, and then I did this nice color labeling. This is kind of one scene, you can call it. This is all very similar B-roll. This color. Then we have this cool kind of wide shot on this window. That's these purple ones. Then we have, the ceiling stuff. That's these green ones. And then this tan one is outside stuff. Now, this is kind of, if someone were to see this, this could be looked upon as unusable B-roll. It's like, what am I even looking at? Why am I looking at a window? Really shaky footage. It doesn't make sense. So, like I kind of mentioned before, this kind of gritty street, kind of grungy feeling with a lot of the shakiness is gonna match up perfectly as accent cutaway shots for this type of project. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and look at the edit we have so far. And if you're seeing, you have all these green clips. I went ahead and I added these violet pink colors in my timeline for areas where I wasn't happy with the A-roll coverage, and I felt that at these specific moments here, it would be beneficial to use the B-roll coverage in those moments to further create a cooler looking promo video. So let's watch the edit all the way through, and then we're going to find the technique to add in this B-roll. Okay, so pretty cool so far. That's just the first pass. So as you can see, let's just start from the very beginning. This moment, that's why I labeled it this kind of violet pink color. I wanna use some of these shots with that cool beat that we have. This. So I'm gonna do a marker. So 1, 2, 3, 4. What I want to do is go ahead and erase this. And we have these. There's going to be one shot here, one shot here, one shot here, and oopsies, one shot here. And we're going to use the B-roll for this cool intro. So I'm just going to kind of scan through the shots that we have and look for some cool moments that catch my eye. I like this moment because it kind of goes from dark to light, and that's going to be kind of cool for an intro opening shot. So I'm going to pull it up, and that means I know that that's a shot that I want to pull into my timeline. Okay, there's kind of a cool bounce right here. I'm going to grab that as well. Yep, and I like that. Let's push that up, and then let's get one of these. Let's go ahead and grab right there. So now we have these 4 shots, and we go back to our sequence. Now, before I paste these shots in here, I'm gonna lock off this video layer so when so that when I hit paste, it doesn't overwrite and delete some of our stuff. And now I'm actually going to lock this bottom video layer too, so that I can cut down these B-roll shots without changing any of the rest of this edit that we've put together. And I'm just going to kind of place these roughly where they're going to go. I'm not going to worry too much about fine tuning. Okay. Okay, and with this one, what I actually want to do is I want to mess with the speed. And that's kind of one of these things why I was calling it kind of unusable B-roll shots. I mean, like you look at this, you don't see anything special, but if it's a quick cutaway shot and you have, something that's kind of interesting and more artistic and you can't really put your finger on what it is, but it just adds character, that's going to be a win. So that's really our goal here. Okay. I'm just going to scoot this a little bit. And I'm going to speed up this shot as well. Let's go to 200 just to give it a little bit more energy. The faster the clip, the more the energy, right? The more quick everything is happening. So this last one's a little too fast. Let's do 150 instead of 200. And you can use the Y slip tool to change where the clip is. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. So that's a cool little intro that adds some, oh God, a cool little intro that adds some character and personality. If we take these away and we just have the original clip underneath, it's cool, but it's just a lot cooler when we have something like that. It also adds to add a little bit of information for the viewer about the location. It's like, okay, whoa, looks like a kind of sketchy warehouse, but it just matches with the grunginess of the video. So let's play forward. So let's go ahead and play ahead. And then when we get to here, we're going to want to make an addition. Okay. So if I want to add, it feels like there's something missing in the shot. And let's say I don't want to do a cutaway, but let's say I just want to add a little bit of maybe a cool jumping forward. I'm going to make a cut. I'm going to use a slip tool and I'm going to slip forward ahead in this clip. Now let's see. Okay, cool. So you see how he skips around in the frame? Boom, right there. Before we just that's without, and we just accentuate the movement. Now, if we wanted to take it a step further, we could even go and add a flip filter to flip the orientation, and it's going to make this jump cut even more dramatic. Now, I'm not going to do that for this one because that's a specific look. It's a little too much. You want to be subtle. You want to make it look cooler, but you don't want to make it look cheesy. That's a little bit cheesy for my taste for this specific one, but it's an option. So let's go to the next blue part, which is right here. Okay, so to kind of mix things up, I want to add a cool kind of you know, a fast moment right here. So let's go ahead and turn that clip off. Let's go to our trusty B-roll and let's find a cool kind of moment. Let's see this. Let's grab this. Let's go to our sequence. I'm gonna lock the bottom and I'm gonna paste this on. And let's see. Okay, it's not fast enough. It doesn't have enough energy in its current state. I really want to give it a whippiness. So I really wanted to add to the overall energy of the edit. So let's speed it up 500%. And let's cut it down so that it's matching the amount of time that we want it to take up. And let's see. Ah, a lot better. So that's looking better. Cool. So it kind of goes and throws the viewer down into the next shot. So for comparison, let's see it without. Cool. So not much going on. And then if we put it back, cool. Just a little accent. So I'm liking that. Let's go to our next blue areas. Looks like these two that I marked off that should be updated. Okay. So yeah, let's start with this one. So I want another kind of cool throwing movement because this is a huge striking point in the song. So let's go to our unusable B-roll, right? And let's see. Let's see how that looks. So I'm gonna grab this. I'm gonna put it here, lock the footage, and I'm gonna speed it up because I know we're gonna need to have a high energy amount of movement. So, okay, I'm liking that. Let me actually go 700% and let's make it shorter. Okay, so actually what I wanna do is rather than shortening it, I'm gonna scoot it because there's a little bit of extra space here. So I want this cool fast clip to start sooner. Let's see that. Yeah, there we go. So without, okay, and then with. Nice. You know, and when you have these moments where the viewer doesn't really have time to pick up on what is going on because it's happening so quickly, it naturally just kind of gives you this, whoa, what the heck kind of excited, good confusion where it's confusing in a good way. Something to keep in mind. So let's do one more. Right, right there. Let's do one more. What have we not used? Let's go ahead and use this clip. Okay. So I'm going to grab that. I'm going to paste it and shorten it down. Okay. And then just going to fine tune it a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Okay, cool. So we went through and we updated and added in our B-roll to create a much more stylized and a much more unique video overall. So our edit is looking pretty good. I say that a lot, but we make a lot of pretty good edits. So what I did since the last time I saw you a few seconds ago was I labeled a few of these clips in this timeline yellow. And what I want to teach in this lesson is, and we've touched on it before, we're not going to do warp stabilization for this edit because we've already done that a ton in previous edits. But I want to dive even more into scaling and using the position parameters, among other things, to add a little bit of extra sauce to our edit. So all these yellow ones, we're going to do a little quick pass on scaling attribute. So we have our intro B-roll shots. These are great. We don't need to touch them, but let's look at this first shot. So you can see it's a push-in shot on a Steadicam. And there's a few things going on. There's a BTS photographer shooting photos, so you can kind of see their flash right here. So I want to actually use that moment to scale up the image. So I'll explain what I mean. So we have this image, and then now we have two clips. So on the second one, let's put this to, let's say, 120 and go here. So now we have... So it kind of adds to the actual edit. It takes, that flashiness that was kind of a distraction like this. And when we scale it up, okay, cool. That's looking really good. That's adding some style and some feeling. So what I'm also going to do is go to the beginning of this clip, add a scaling keyframe, go to the end of the clip, scale it up to, let's say, 107. And we don't want to cut off his feet, so let's do a position keyframe as well. And go down as we're scaling in. And now that push-in is even more intense. At the top, you can see these moving as we go forward. So let's do that same thing to this next part of the clip. We'll go from 120 to 127. And let's see. Okay, cool. I'm liking that. And we have our next one right here. So for this moment, let's try and do a zoom out. I don't know. Let's see. So I'm going to go to the beginning of the clip, go to, let's say, 115, go to the end, go to 100. Okay. That's cool. So without, and then with, there's just a little bit more electricity and energy in that shot with that movement. Now I could bring it up even more by adding a position keyframe at the beginning, have it start over here, and zoom in even more. Okay, I'm liking that. So let's scrub forward. Yeah, so we have this shot, this one right here. This one I know I want to have a zoom out because we kind of have this pause in the song. He stops the performance, and then we go right back into a striking point in the track. So I'm going to go to the first part, hit scale, go to the part where right before we cut to this next shot, do another scale keyframe. I'm going to zoom way in, like let's say 130. Okay, too much. Let's do 120. Okay, that's a little too much. I still say let's do 115. Okay, cool. I'm liking that. Now this shot, I know I want to have a zoom in for here. And it's really amazing what just a simple zoom in, zoom out addition can really just add. Because, there's a nice little push in. You can see the camera is slowly moving towards our subject. but we're gonna take that movement that's naturally there in camera when we were actually shooting, and we're just gonna multiply its intensity by adding this digital zoom and movement in post-production. Nice. So those flow way more. You can see the animation that's going on there, the keyframing that's happening. So if I go ahead and take these off by right clicking and removing the motion attribute, and if I put it back, way cooler, way more juicy and saucy, right? So now I think the last one that needed a little extra something, yeah, is this final zoom, is this final ending shot. So yeah, I don't know if we necessarily need to zoom out, but I think that what I want to do here is a time remapping shot. So we've done this before together. I'm going to go to right click the clip, go to show clip keyframes, go to time remapping, and right on that ending note, I want to have a cool, just hyper fast kind of pull out because there's a natural that I just want to speed up this motion so it has a little bit more intensity. So let's see. Okay, let's make it a little bit more gradual. Okay. Okay, cool. So that just adds a little bit more of a cool kind of glitchiness a little bit at the end. So we have a fast kind of whip zoom out at the end, and we have a really cool zoom push in at the beginning. Perfect. So we just went through and updated about 5 or 6 of these clips that were lined up with important striking moments, important beats in our track. And by doing these updates, we made those moments in the track feel a lot more cool. And so let's hop into the next video lesson where we're going to continue to refine this edit.